Greetings one and all, this is Rhythmworks and welcome to my channel with some sleeping dogs, yay, action style, and this by far has got to be the cheapest full game in the PS Store right now for £3.99. I shit you not. And I think obviously it is worth the money because seeing a Square Enix and what is the other freaking developer called? United Front Games are not making a sequel to this game. I thought, well, it makes sense me buying it for prosperity, I guess, because it's being highly rated. I don't know how it didn't stick in the radar for me, but I'm playing this game now, and yeah, I haven't played much of it, but I'm liking it. It is off its time and is worth every penny, all 399 of them. Now, first up, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands beta is running live tomorrow, the 3rd of February, right through till the 6th of February. I'm looking forward to that. I'm cautiously optimistic in relation to Ubisoft games because, as you know, with Watch Dogs 1, they kind of took their eye off the ball, as it were, especially for a PS4 launch title, and it took a while for people to regain, well, it took a while for Ubisoft to regain people's trust in future games that has been released since then. And I think they've somewhat redeemed themselves, especially with Watch Dogs 2, because they've more or less kept the Far Cry formula. And as you know, with me, Far Cry 3 was the game that made me get into first-person shooters. That was the only game that started me off. Not even Battlefield, Call of Duty, none of those games. I mean, I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, is it, before? But that was with me not understanding the whole perk system, loadout system. I didn't have no understanding of that. So it was just all alien. But Far Cry 3 was the game that actually got me interested in first-person shooters to begin with. So there is a place in my heart for Ubisoft in that regard. So even though I say to myself, fuck Ubisoft, fuck you, fuck your games, you know, there's always a forgiving nature in myself to give them another go. And Ghost Recon Wildlands, I remember cancelling my pre-order based upon, what game was it? Rainbow Six Siege. I remember cancelling my pre-order for that, but now I've reinstated my pre-order for Ghost Recon Wildlands, simply because of Watch Dogs 2. And that's all there is to that. So I'm looking forward to that, and hope to bring some kind of gameplay action where that is concerned. Now, next up, is it just me, or is there anybody out there are not hyped one iota for Horizon Zero Dawn? Because I remember seeing the trailer for that game, I think it was E3, and the game has been delayed. I think it got delayed once, I'm not sure. But with everything that I've seen, even Mark Cerny talking about the 4K capabilities, the HDR capabilities of that game, I've seen it. I own a PS4 Pro, I own a 4K TV, and I have to say that it's not doing anything for me. I don't know what it is. Maybe I've taken the same journey on the hype train with so many games. I'm from the old school, right? Now, some of the young people amongst yourselves might not even be aware of how games were presented in the 90s, much less. But I remember back in the day when you would buy a PlayStation magazine or an Xbox magazine, and you would have the CD of the demo, you know, in a packet, sellotaped on the front cover, and you would play the demos that are included in that, and you would choose from that whether or not you want to buy a particular game that's featured in the demo. And then when the game comes out, you have that kind of collective water cooler moment where you talk about the game and strategies and what have you. And of course, there'd be manufacturers selling cheat codes and all of that shit. I never used to really get into all of that because it just didn't make sense to me to buy a game to cheat. But, you know, those were the times where it was exciting to basically get demos of games that we read about, and play. But nowadays with the internet and all of that, it's like there's potential spoilers everywhere. And some YouTubers, will have the luxury of getting the games before the rest of the world. The public gets it, the consumers gets it. And, they can actually spoil a game by literally how they word the title on the YouTube videos as well. Yes, there is an embargo and what have you, but you still got a collective of YouTubers that will basically have the game way in advance before we do, that will maybe bring their biased or unbiased opinions depending on the commentator, depending on the YouTuber, as to how the game basically stands. Now, in the case of Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm supposed to be hyped. Because it's a brand new IP, it's coming from Guerrilla Games. I'm supposed to be hyped about this game, but for some reason I am not. It's like word association. You mention Horizon Zero Dawn, I think of Guerrilla Games. You mention Guerrilla Games, I think of Killzone Shadowfall. You mention Killzone Shadowfall, I tell you Coaster. And at that point, people can basically say to me, well, it's a matter of taste, Rhythm. It's a matter of taste. You might not have eaten an aubergine in your life, but if it's cooked in a delicious meal and you love that meal, then you're going to develop a taste for aubergine. That's all there is to it. If you don't try, you don't know. And I get that. I totally get that. But within the gaming parameters, it's all about developing your character, leveling up your character, crafting and shit. So there's other games that fall into that category as well. Nothing is original under the sun. Gaming right now is where you take bits of Destiny, bits of Call of Duty, bits of whatever, bits of yada yada yada, and put them all together and just try and make a unique game in that respect. So with Horizon, it still doesn't appeal to me like how it should. And there's a lot of things to consider. I think the hype around the game has a lot to answer, with certain games, because look at No Man's Sky, look how much people fell for that. And that was a game that just didn't interest me. Space exploration did not interest me one iota. And if it turned out to be an excellent game, fine, more power to the developer's elbow. But it just wasn't my kind of game. And in that way, I agree with people talking about the taste element of games. I think the conclusion that I can draw in relation to me not feeling Horizon Zero Dawn is simply because I think I've grown out of the hype. I've just grown out of the hype thing. With E3 and all the other games conventions, those were more or less the hype fests that we all gravitate to and watch and see what's coming out and yada yada yada. But with the benefit of hindsight, and with hindsight being a wonderful thing, you hark back to all of those E3s of old and all the games that was basically presented, all the games that was presented back then, and how hyped we were for those games and how those games turned out upon release. I just got to mention day one patch, and you all know where I'm coming from. All right. So the hype for games, a small percentage of games are justified, but there are some games that does not even have any hype attached to them. And I think the game in question that I have to give props to is Rocket League. I have to give Psyonix the ultimate props in relation to a game that they just fucking put out there, said try it, let us know what you think. They weren't even selling the game, they had it free on PlayStation Plus, right? That to me was one of the best games that was ever released on PlayStation Plus, and it was a brand new IP, brand new. Well, I wouldn't say brand new because it's been on PC for a while, but it ported over to PlayStation 4 very, very well, And that's the art of understating a game and having a game become a cult classic amongst gamers. Now it is just games that, even though, you know, they're in the 7th or 8th iteration of the series. Everybody's still hyped, but we still encounter the same problems within the game. We still encounter them, but we still buy the games on an annual basis. And it's just habitual for people to do so. But I think from my perspective, I can't be doing that. It's like the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing, getting the same results, and hoping that something different will basically happen. And I think that's what's happening in my mindset, where games and the hype for games are concerned. You know, there are games that I would gladly take £50 and buy a season pass for £20. You know, people have issues about pre-orders and stuff. I don't particularly have issues in relation to pre-orders and shit, because if it's a game that I like and if it's a game that I want to have a complete experience, yeah, I'll invest in that. But admittedly, I have bought games that I haven't even played any of the season pass content, you know, and that's fine, that's fair enough, but I still have the game. I still have the game to play if I want to go into that game. So I don't really consider it a waste of money per se. But in relation to games that I don't have, that are hyped up to the hilt, I think the explanation for me is that I'm outgrowing elements of hype in video games right now. And I just don't think it's an age thing either. So I want you to tell me, let me know what you think about the hype within video games. Not whether they're justified or not, because I think we can have a collective opinion that, you know, some of the games are just not justified with the hype. You know, that's goes without saying. But I just want to know how much you are still hyped for games, if you are hyped for games at all, and if your hype level has decreased somewhat. At the moment, I have to say that I'm cautiously optimistic with a lot of games now. I'm cautiously optimistic with Ghost Recon Wildlands. But then you're going to ask me about Red Dead Redemption 2 and Uncharted The Lost Legacy and The Last of Us 2. What can I say? You know, I can say the hype is justified, but then the hype I had for Uncharted 4 would have probably been the same for those games. But you just don't know. You just don't know. I think with Rockstar, I think the hype is going to be justified where Rockstar is concerned and Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't think they're going to make a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 with the fan base that it has and fuck it up. You know, with Grand Theft Auto 5, they've just added so much into that game. Like I said in previous videos, I look in my PSN right now and there's like a dozen people playing Grand Theft Auto 5 still, all now. That's a testament to the game. It's a testament to Rockstar, without a shadow of a doubt, you know. But where Naughty Dog was concerned, I had them in the same freaking league. But they've kind of dropped down a couple notches in that division right about now, you know, simply because of what they drip feed us. And they try to blind us with the fucking brand. And I don't think the hype is justified simply because of the brand. The brand and the content has to roll side by side. And as Samuel L. Jackson in Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing says, that's the quintessential truth, Ruth. So anyway, is with that, I'm going to bid you guys adieu for now. Thank you for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for passing through. And as always, you done know the coup, whatever the game, media, platform, format, genre, happy gaming, because that is what it's truly about, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters. So until I catch you on the next one, please, gamers, stay blessed. Magan.